All right, so have you heard about this air fountain system?
Sounds familiar.
It claims to pull drinkable water, get this, straight from the air.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw an ad for that.
10 gallons a day, anywhere you go.
Really?
Yeah, all thanks to, well, they say it's super secret tech.
Sounds a little, far-fetched.
It does sound pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
We've got their website up here, and, well,
Lots of promises, I bet.
let's just say it's a bit heavy on the marketing hype.
Of course.
Our mission today isn't to buy into all that or debunk it outright.
Okay, so
We're going to put on our critical thinking caps here
I like it.
and dive into, what's the tech?
Sure.
What are they really claiming? And then what could this mean if it actually works?
Yeah, the big if.
Right. That if is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Because, I mean, the idea itself,
Yeah.
pulling water from the air, it's not new,
Not
right?
totally new, no.
I mean, we have dehumidifiers.
Exactly.
But going from that to like a reliable source of drinkable water,
Yeah,
enough for a household,
right.
that's a whole other challenge.
There's a whole other ballgame.
Totally.
So their website lays out this 4-step process.
Right.
It's pretty straightforward. Capture the air, condense the moisture,
Uh-huh.
filter it, store it.
Basic stuff.
Sounds simple enough when you say it like that.
Right.
But then you see them throwing around phrases like,
Like what?
works in even the driest conditions. And I don't know about you.
Yeah, my eyebrow's going up too.
You start raising an eyebrow?
That's the first snag, I'd say.
Okay.
They're claiming 10 gallons of water a day,
Every day.
regardless of the humidity.
Yeah, they really emphasize that.
But basic science tells us the amount of moisture in the air.
Right.
That's key to how much you can actually pull out.
It's got to come from somewhere.
Right, so either they've got some, like, revolutionary condensation tech,
Mm-hmm.
or,
Mm-hmm.
well,
Yeah. Or they're exaggerating.
maybe a little.
The skeptic in me is definitely piping up.
Might too.
And then they double down. They throw around this term military grade,
Oh, of course they do.
which, okay, sounds impressive.
Sounds very official.
But what does that even mean in this context?
Right.
Are we talking desert ops? Submarines?
Exactly.
And how does any of that translate to, me getting a glass of water in my kitchen?
Yeah, it's a classic marketing tactic,
Oh, yeah.
Use these vague terms
Sure.
to imply it's reliable, it's sophisticated.
Mm-hmm.
But without specifics, it's meaningless, really.
Yeah.
What's more interesting is, are there actual military applications for this?
Right. If any.
What are there?
And speaking of digging, let's talk about cost.
Okay, yeah.
They claim this air fountain is affordable.
Right. But affordable compared to what, though?
Exactly. That's my question.
But a bottle of water.
A bottle of water.
Installing a well.
Installing a well.
What about ongoing costs? Filters.
The energy to run it.
Yeah, all those
They
details.
conveniently leave that out.
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
They focus on the price tag. But what about the long term?
Right, the long-term expenses.
It's like, think of it like
Okay.
comparing the sticker price of an electric car to, a gas guzzler.
Uh-huh.
But you're not factoring in charging versus gas.
Yeah, good analogy.
It's the whole picture.
Okay, but they do have those glowing testimonials, right?
I'm sure.
People using this air fountain, all sorts of situations, raving about how it's changed their lives.
Right.
It's got to be working for someone.
Of course, yeah. And those stories,
Yeah.
they can be compelling.
They can be.
But let's not forget, these are hand-picked
Yeah.
testimonials, right?
On a website trying to sell you something.
Exactly.
They might be totally genuine,
They could be.
but without, independent verification.
Right. How do we know?
How representative are they really?
Of the average user.
So, what I'm hearing is
Yeah.
don't ditch your Brita filter just yet.
Probably not.
This all sounds a little
A little too good to be true.
too good to be true.
Which leads to the question,
Oh, yeah.
what are they not telling us?
Exactly. What are they not telling us?
When something seems revolutionary,
Mm-hmm.
you got to ask, what are the downsides?
Yeah. What are they hiding?
And that's where our research comes in.
Right. Our own due diligence.
We can't just rely on their marketing.
So where should we and our listeners start digging?
Good question.
If we really want to get to the bottom of this,
Where are the red flags?
what are the missing pieces of the puzzle?
Let's see. Well, first we got to figure out what we're actually dealing with here.
Okay.
These things, atmospheric water generators, AWGs.
AWGs. Okay.
They've been around for a while.
So not a brand new concept.
Not brand new, no.
Mhm.
Think of it like
Like what?
like a supercharged dehumidifier.
Okay. So dehumidifiers I get.
Right.
Pull moisture from the air, but I wouldn't exactly drink that.
Yeah, no, that little puddle in the tank.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
exactly
Not
refreshing.
drinking water.
Right, so AWGs, they got to take it a step further.
Okay.
Different methods like cooling coils or special materials,
Okay.
they attract those water molecules,
Huh?
condense that vapor, and then filter it to make it safe.
To make it actually drinkable.
Exactly.
So the basic science, that tracks.
Yeah.
But scaling that up to actually produce 10 gallons a day.
Right, consistently.
Consistently, like they claim.
That's the hard part.
That seems like a big leap.
It is. Most of the AWGs we see today,
Yeah.
pretty limited output, especially in drier climates.
Makes sense.
Good for, like, niche situations, maybe
Right.
disaster relief or a small research station.
Right. Something small scale.
Not
Yeah.
typically going to supply a whole household
Right.
with
Right.
all their water needs.
Well, speaking of their website, it mentions this.
What's that?
That the air fountain is, quote, trusted by the Israeli army for desert survival.
Oh, interesting.
Could that be a clue?
Maybe. Israel, they've been leading in water innovation for a long time,
Right. They have to be.
given, the desert environment.
Makes sense.
They've put a lot into desalination and other, like, cutting-edge water solutions.
Yeah.
So if the air fountain's really used by their military,
Yeah.
it would suggest, some level of effectiveness.
At least in those conditions.
Right, at least in that context.
But even if it works, like hypothetically,
Mm.
wouldn't there be some kind of limit
To what?
to how much you can pull from the air? Like,
Right.
could you create a mini drought around your house?
That's a key question they don't address.
It's not on the FAQ page.
What's the environmental impact, right?
Yeah.
Sucking all that moisture out.
Especially on a large scale
You'd think there's got to be a tipping point.
where it's too much.
Starts messing with the local ecosystems.
Right. And wouldn't that vary by location too?
Oh, for sure.
Like pulling water from the air in Florida versus, Arizona,
Totally different story.
two very different climates.
The website, of course, avoids all that.
Conveniently avoids it.
All 10 gallons a day, anywhere you go.
Which
Which, let's be real,
sounds a little
too good to be true.
too good to be true.
Yeah.
So, before we all go pre-order our air fountains,
Hold your horses.
what are other avenues for research here?
Well, we talked about reviews,
Independent reviews.
scientific papers, but what about patents?
Oh, good point.
Patents are a gold mine.
Okay.
If they've really made this breakthrough,
Uh-huh.
there should be patents.
A paper trail.
Search for, John Gilmore,
The founder.
the company itself, the air fountain,
See what they're actually claiming.
could shed some light on how it works.
Okay, and what about awards?
Oh, yeah. Good.
Recognition from, legitimate organizations.
Low Water World, right.
Yeah, the Water Award.
If they won some big engineering prize.
That would lend some credibility.
Yeah. Absolutely. That'd be a good sign
A good indicator.
that they're not just,
Selling snake oil.
smoke and mirrors.
So we're basically deputizing our listeners here.
A little bit.
Become water detectives.
I like it.
Dig into the science. Follow that paper trail.
Yep.
Look for evidence. Look beyond the marketing.
That's the name of the game these days, right?
Kids.
Information overload.
You can't just take someone's word for it.
Especially for something as essential as water.
Right. Essential.
Got to be your own fact checker.
So to recap,
Yeah.
AWGs, in theory, potential's there.
Uh-huh.
But these specific claims
About the air fountain.
about the air fountain system,
Yeah.
those need skepticism.
A healthy dose.
A heavy dose of skepticism.
And a lot more digging.
A lot more digging.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, so we've been pretty skeptical so far.
We have.
But let's play pretend for a minute.
Okay.
Let's say this thing actually works as advertised.
All right. I'm game.
What could that world look like? All right, so we've spent the last two parts being pretty skeptical of this air fountain.
Yeah. I'd say so.
But let's entertain the thought for a sec.
Okay.
What if it does actually live up to the hype?
Okay, now we're talking.
What kind of world could we be looking at?
Well, that's when things get really interesting, right?
Yeah.
Imagine,
Yeah.
clean, safe, drinkable water
Mm-hmm.
available everywhere,
Anywhere.
no matter location or infrastructure.
It'd be huge.
That could be a game changer.
I'm picturing no more lugging cases of bottled water from the store.
Yeah.
No more news stories about these communities with
It's-
drought or contaminated water.
Right. It's like a reset button.
On one of humanity's biggest problems.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a compelling vision.
It is.
Think about global health.
Well, yeah.
Millions of people
Every year.
suffer from waterborne illnesses.
It's a huge problem. If you could provide this reliable, decentralized source,
Mhm.
could drastically reduce those numbers.
Yeah.
We could be talking potentially saving lives, like on a massive scale.
Massive scale. And what about those areas where traditional water infrastructure it's just not an option?
Right. Too expensive or
It's not feasible.
not possible to build out there.
Right. Like remote communities.
Yeah.
Refugee camps, disaster relief.
This could be a lifeline.
It could be.
It opens up like new possibilities for sustainable living too,
Okay, yeah.
in ways we haven't even like thought of yet.
What are you thinking of?
Like off-grid communities or eco-villages, completely independent.
No more relying on the city water systems.
The potential, it's huge.
It is huge.
Yeah.
But we gotta stay grounded a little bit.
Of course. Yeah.
We did talk about those potential downsides,
Mm,
the environmental impact.
right. Pulling all that moisture.
Can't just ignore that.
How do we balance those concerns with like these amazing benefits?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is. It's the billion-dollar question.
Because we can't just assume, new tech equals good.
No, absolutely not.
We've seen how, good intentions can backfire.
Oh, yeah. Plenty of examples.
What comes to mind?
I mean, remember like introducing certain plants
Invasive species.
became invasive or, overusing certain chemicals.
Damage the ozone layer.
Exactly. So it's not just does it work?
Right.
It's how do we use it responsibly?
How do we use it right?
What kind of regulations
Shaping.
we need to put in place?
Big questions.
We need to understand the long-term effects, right?
Environment.
On the ecosystems, energy consumption,
How much power does this thing take?
and then making sure everyone has access.
The distribution.
It's not enough to just create the water.
It's got to be for everybody.
Got to be sustainable, beneficial for everyone.
It seems like every solution comes with its own set of new problems.
Well, yeah, that's kind of,
That's progress, right?
I guess so. Yeah,
Identify the problem, we innovate.
then we got to deal with the consequences,
These unintended consequences.
the ripple effects.
It's a cycle.
This whole deep dive has been a perfect example.
It really
We
has.
started with, can you really get drinkable water from air?
Such a simple question.
And it's led to all this, the science, the marketing, the potential.
The good, the bad, the unknown.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll leave you with this.
All right.
Dear listener, imagine this air fountain. It becomes widely available.
Okay.
How would it change your life?
Hmm.
What opportunities would it create?
Yeah.
What new problems might we face?
Good questions.
Keep those in mind
Absolutely.
as you continue your own little
On
exploration
this whole water from air thing.
of this fascinating topic.
It's a wild one.
And as always, stay curious.